Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and I'm here to review and recap the latest one-hour special from South Park, following up their pandemic special of last year, the South Park with a Q Vaccination Special. Now, I can't play you clips here. I am going to go through some of my favorite moments. I'm going to recap the show for those of you who weren't able to see it, as well as offer my take, what I thought. So those of you who want to watch the show first, totally want to warn you ahead of time so you're not complaining down below. The show is available on cable on Comedy Central, comedycentral.com, I believe, as well as I think it should be on HBO Max at one point or another soon. So if you want to watch it there first before I go through and spoil things, you've been warned. So overall, I really liked this special. I liked the last one as well. What I really liked about this was the fact that Matt and Trey, they were able to really hit all sides. This, I talked about how this is called the South Park with a Q, and I can't say the word that they're going to say over and over again. The Q group, go Google it, the Q people. You'll figure out what I'm saying, but it's literally a keyword that most social media doesn't let you say, even in just talking about it. It's bizarre. But they really hit that group pretty hard. But while hitting that group hard, they also managed to sort of joke about the fact that even the groups criticizing that group sometimes are just as crazy. It's interesting how they sort of covered everything. They really hit a lot of stuff. I was pleasantly surprised. I really like the fact that they were able to have a longer story, because the hour-long special lets them tell more story, right? But typically, I think of recently too, South Park episodes, the half-hour ones, they want to get through so much story, but they have such limited time that sometimes it just feels rushed. They're trying to get to these epic beats and longer story points, and it never really fits. So this hour-long version, I think, really suits them right now, because it's clear they want to share a lot of story, and when they have more time, they get to sort of stretch it out, and you get some more nuanced moments that I really appreciate, and when I think South Park is at its best, when it's not just so much plot. Usually, old classic episodes were just sort of an A story and a B story. But as South Park has grown, sometimes there's like 4 stories going on at once that switch and pivot. And in a half-hour time period, that could be kind of annoying. So I really appreciated the plot that they went through in this hour-long period, and overall, I thought it was very funny. It is definitely edgy. It is definitely going to offend some people. In fact, I want to start with this disclaimer, which I don't even know if you read it when you watched it the first time, but check it out again. This program includes negative depictions and/or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and will still be wrong in the future. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together. Like the Muppets, this show should not be watched by anyone. I mean, bravo. I mean, it's so crazy because the Muppets are being canceled for things they said back in the day. But the truth is, South Park's been doing just as much bad stuff from years ago to today, and they're still managing to do it. And the truth is, why are they editing the Muppets and not South Park? I mean, I don't know. Let's not edit South Park by all means, but it just shows how silly things are getting. So the fact that they're just putting it out right at the gate is just brilliant. I thought this was a hilarious opening to the show. All right, so for those of you who watched, I'm going to go through a little bit of recap. Let's go through some of these favorite moments. For those of you who didn't, I am going to also offer a recap as I go. And so the main plot of this is the fact that there's a new hot place in town that everyone's trying to get into, and it's Walgreens. Everyone's lining up to try and get the vaccine because only the elderly and the essential workers can currently get it, and so everyone is trying to do whatever they can do to get in there. I love this bit where he's like, "I'm a smoker. My wife is 35 pounds. We overweight. We need to get in there immediately." One guy's like, "I have genital warts. I'll show you." Everybody's just doing whatever excuse they can do to be selfish and get in there and get the vaccine first. The guard is not letting anybody in. We watch as Mr. Mackey's trying to get in, and he dresses up as a firefighter at one point to get in. The premise here is nobody's getting them except for the old people. The kids, however, are starting to feel, it seems like they're growing up. They're drifting apart. As they say, the broship is ending. Cartman's worried because only 30% of broships have made it through the pandemic. And so it seems our favorite foursome is starting to spread apart. The spark is gone, as they say. And so Cartman and Kenny decide they're going to do one big prank to see if they can bring everybody together. And so they were having hamburgers. There's a lot of ketchup, and the substitute seems to have a white dress on. So perfect opportunity for Cartman to do a terrible joke at the expense of the sub. The sub freaks out. It's a very funny scene. All the kids are laughing, but the sub is genuinely freaking out, saying, "Nobody cares about us. We're here risking our lives for you kids, and this is what we get. I'm so sick of it. Why aren't we getting saved and getting the..." It's a very true rant that adds to sort of the real humor of it, and Cartman just not accepting any of it and thinking, "Ha ha, it's the best prank we've ever done." But this has consequences. With her gone and no other teachers willing to step up, who is going to teach these kids He's back, guys. Mr. Garrison is back. For those of you who've watched for a while, Mr. Garrison has been through a lot. Many transitions over the years, many lifestyles, many things. Most recently, he's declaring himself the president, identifies himself as the president. That didn't go over well with the town. They hate him now. He's coming back, pretending like nothing has happened. It's like old school classic Mr. Garrison, and nobody wants to have him there, is the premise. And the kids are very upset. But there is a group of people that are excited that Mr. Garrison is back. Enter Tom White, who approaches him in the grocery store. We're on your side. Just know all the whites are on your side. This poor wife and child always stuck in there. And so this is where we learn they're part of the Q group. And he wants to get a message from Mr. Garrison, but Mr. Garrison's not having it. Mr. Garrison freaks out and tells him to blow the S out your D hole. I got to say it as cleanly as I can here on this platform, sadly. And leaves. But Tom White sits there and goes, he's trying to tell us something. Cut to him and his Q group at a meeting, realizing that they spoke to the leader, and they are trying to blur this, but they had to figure out, what could that mean? What is this? What is it? What is it going to do? How do we figure it out? And they come to through Latin. I guess I held it up there. I gotta come on, I'm allowed to say some bad words once in a while, but nothing else is against the community guidelines, human reviewers. So please ease on me. This is just a couple profanities. They're allowed on YouTube. But as they're putting this board together using Latin to sort of figure out how to justify this conspiracy theory, they come to this idea that they should potentially start taking care of the children, I guess is how I can say it. Meanwhile, the elderly are having the time of their life. They're out there doing everything. Have fun social distancing, you loser. But the Q group is out there trying to figure what can they do. Meanwhile, Mr. Mackey is telling the kids, if you want your sub back, because then nobody wants Mr. Garrison and no other teachers want to come in. If you want him back, well, there's only one place you can go to get it, Walgreens. So the kids create the community kids with 2 Ks. K gets them every time. And of course, the guard falls for it. They're such adorable kids trying to help their grandmother in, but they're just paying her. They're trying to get into the vaccines, but they don't even get the vaccines because the grandmother wants more money once she gets in because she already has it. They freak out. It's a very funny scene with Cartman and the old lady, but they rush out. They steal them. And then we cut back to the Q group, who has now put together a very promising PowerPoint advertisement. Do you feel like the government has failed you and your child during the time of COVID? Well, then join Tutoron. They're there now to tutor the kids. And this scene was so funny. This scene was so funny watching the Tutoron people. We'll call them the Tutorons now since I can't say the Q. Because of this incredible shortage of teachers, the elite wants to F with our kids. Well, we'll F theirs is what sort of the premise is. And so we have the Tutoron. We sift through all the information on the internet for a uniquely curated experience. The Tutoron will save your children. And so it cuts to these scenes. If you watched them, you know what I'm talking about. I think this was the funniest part of the show. For those of you who didn't, they cut to these scenes where they're sitting telling the kids about all the conspiracies out there, that Oprah and Tom are at the top. And do you know what the P word is? It's so troubling and sort of proves the point of, do you really want these people saving your kids too? Is what Matt and Trey are trying to prove, and I think make a very valid point of. Now, what's fascinating is they don't just sort of sit there and take on the that group. There's a certain point at the end, which we'll get to, that sort of acknowledges that maybe there is a Hollywood elite after all. And that's what I really did actually really like about the show, that they really went both ways while still calling this out as completely silly. But here's one example of that, which is this is just cranberry juice, YouTube. Come on. This is nothing. I blurred out the other image. There's nothing there. That's just cranberry juice. It's just a cartoon. But there's Oprah, part of the Hollywood elite. But that's not it. There's a new group in town. A new group, secret cabal of patriot children. That's right. The little cuties. Of course. Of course we have the little cuties now in their dance poses, Netflix style. So they're there too, trying to solve the world. Kind of fly. They're there too, and it just shows sort of Matt and Trey were clearly, there was nothing off limits. They were ready to go anywhere they needed to go to get this point across, to make fun of everything. And this group is trying to stop all the shots. I don't want to say the actual words because, again, you know what? You just can't say that stuff on the internet. But they're against the shots. And so when Kyle and the crew has them and they're trying to take it back to teachers, they're there to stop them. Meanwhile, we cut back, and this scene, oh my Jesus, this scene was just bonkers. Mr. Garrison stumbles upon the teacher and basically gets the information out of her and leaves her there, and she's done for. This scene was brutal. It was gross. It was Jesus all in front of Craig. And it was a very funny scene where she's teaching him about all the problems. And it ends with Craig going, after she explains the satanic cabal and the adrenochrome that they're drinking, which is from the children. Do you have any questions, Craig? And Craig's like, does Oprah drink the same blood as Obama? And that's when Garrison forces in and does the damage. But Craig sort of, as everyone leaves, I guess 2021 is going to be just like 2020. Indeed, definitely at South Park. So then Mr. Garrison tracks down the Whites and learns of the conspiracy. I loved that they are willing to take a shot at Paramount Plus, Viacom. Paramount Plus was supposed to have South Park, but HBO Max paid more money. And so nice little shot there of the streaming service that launched on March 4th becomes part of the justification for the conspiracies that justify everything that they're going to do. But Mr. Garrison's confused that while this board's there, who are the Hollywood elite? Well, of course it's George Clooney and Oprah and the blood child Tom Hanks and Matt and Trey. There they are, as well as Ellen and Hillary Clinton. Of course, that's who the Hollywood elite are. And so everyone knows this. Everyone knows that they're all behind this. Honestly, I'm sure some of you still watching are mad at me because you believe it. Tell me down in the comments below. I'd love to have you on the show. I genuinely want to hear. Sell me. I'm always trying to learn things. But overall, so much more happens in the show. But I love the nuance like this. Like Raisins is out of business. Why is Raisins out of business? Why couldn't they do takeout food? Well, come on. It's Raisins. People don't go for the food. They go for the ambiance. And when you can't go in and eat at Raisins gets shut down. So these little nuances throughout the show were very funny, as well as I love this subplot between the two news anchors, where the news anchors are it's just this it was just a very funny scene where the two news anchors are sort of making a point about how this one on the left is like, the community kids are acting upon something they believe in. We should stand by them. It's so wonderful to watch kids stand for something. And then the journalist on the right is like, yeah, well, just like the little cuties are, right? And then this report's like, oh, what? No, you're going to support those monsters? F you, I'm out of here. Storms out sort of this idea that no one, you can only stand by something you believe in if you also believe in is really what it's about. And it's sort of a nice little sort of knock on the fact that everyone just judges everybody to such an extreme, unhelpful degree. That's just sort of another little subtle moment of, I think, smart writing and takes on things that Matt and Trey offer. And so the ending of this, again, I warned you, there's a spoiler. If you don't want to hear, tune out now, and you want to go tune it out, watch. There's still plenty I haven't spoiled, but I want to get into this because it's sort of important to talk about. The ending of this special is just really clever and funny because as the Q guy is sort of storming, they don't want us to know anything. They sort of magically appear in the middle of the winter, and then he's like, see, they're not letting us say it. And as he's sort of saying this, literally a cursor comes in, Photoshop, they start literally going behind the scenes and turn him into a pig and a woman and ultimately a big D. I can't say what, but you know what I'm saying. He turns into a big D, and because the Hollywood elites, Matt and Trey, the creators of South Park, they don't want him to tell the truth. So it becomes a very meta moment there where they sort of are acknowledging, yeah, no, we're part of the elites. I feel like giving the Q group more ammo to be like, see, they know it. They're thumbing their nose at us, guys. They're totally involved. They're totally behind the scenes. This was a parody, but really this was a total signal out to all of the rest of them. Like, see, we're really doing this. It was a brilliant moment because now everybody can, even the Q group who'll be mad at them will be like, see, we told you, while also regular people will be like, no, this is crazy. There's also a really funny scene where they're trying to sort of share custody of Kenny because the kids really do seem to be wanting to break up here. The broship is over. But here's Mr. Garrison. He sort of solves the problem because while they're out there and the creators are taking over, Mr. Garrison's like, I don't care, I'll do whatever you want, I just want my job back. And so he succumbs and they sort of make a deal with him to get it back, and they give him Mr. Hat, who comes back as well. But say whatever you believe, and say whatever you want to believe. Look, you guys have a right to say and believe whatever you want, okay? But what you believe is really stupid. Now, that was the little cuties and sort of the Q groups. So there is South Park and Matt Trey clearly putting it out there like, what you believe in this conspiracy is super stupid, but also clearly trying to also have it both ways when they can, to sort of poke fun at the fact, well, maybe we are part of the Hollywood elite. Maybe this is all a big conspiracy. It was a very clever way that they managed to cover it all in the full hour special. Now, again, at the end, here's the substitute teacher from the beginning that they pulled the prank on. They're trying to get her the vaccine by the end, and just as they do, she dies minutes before getting it, and just sort of mocking everything because they really go everywhere. And as soon as she does, but everyone else gets the vaccine, they just rip the masks off and they're like, finally, we get to party. And this moment was just very funny, seeing everybody is back in this moment. It feels like there's Big Gay out. Like everyone, there's a point where Kanye West, they called him the gay fish, didn't they? He shows up at some point making out with somebody. In fact, I can't play too much of it, but I want to make sure I get to that point as we're wrapping up. But yeah, Towley's there. Everyone's having a fun time. Everybody from Imagination. There's Man Bear Pig. There he is. They're spitting on each other. Everyone's having the time of their life at the party. Club Dosage as they go, ha 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 ha, look at that party's not happening anymore, we know. And then meanwhile, at the same time, Tally's selling the Integrity Farms is back in business, in addition to all the elderly people being shuffled back up because the adults are back, the grown-ups are back to your elderly homes. Everyone's celebrating except for the boys, who it looks like are going to keep the broship apart, creating a little bit of a serious moment at the end. Once again, just like when they did the divorce episode, they've always managed to go there a couple times, and this one seems like another one where I'm curious where this is going to go. They've been sort of alluding this. Now they're saying it's happening. They're separating, and they're going to be sharing Kenny. What's that mean for the future of these South Park specials, etc.? I'm curious to see what happens. But overall, I was a fan of this special. I think they did a really good job. Again, the hour-long format suits them. I think it really does help them tell more story, which clearly they want to do. I'm curious what you guys thought. What was your favorite part of this? If you made it through all this way, thank you so much. And you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, smash that bell for all alerts so you get the notifications. Otherwise, YouTube doesn't. Hit the like button and leave a comment. Again, what was your favorite part of the show? I want to hear it down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more here on Popcorn Planet. In fact, here are 2 more videos. Check them out. My most recent video and one that it's going to randomly recommend to you. What did they recommend to you? Tell me in the comments. Check it out. Click it. Thanks for watching, everybody.